The warm glow of late afternoon sunlight filled the cozy farmhouse kitchen as I stood by the sink, hands still damp from the day's dirt. My phone buzzed with a notification, and I glanced at the screen, expecting a lighthearted message. Instead, I read words that shattered my world. Hey, just wanted to let you know the guest list is finalized. I had to make some tough cuts. Hope you understand. Love you. I blinked, rereading the message. Tough cuts? I whispered, barely audible over the hum of the fridge. I wasn't Lila's hairdresser or a casual acquaintance, I was her sister. Yet, I had become a casualty in the war of wedding aesthetics. The red flags had been there, the bridesmaid style guide that excluded my personal style, the subtle hints that I didn't fit Layla's modern and Malibu aesthetic. Still, I tried to play nice, laughing at her jokes and staying quiet when she asked me to tone it down. Now, the truth hit like a soft punch to the gut. I stood by the sink, heart pounding, and thought about calling mom. But I knew her response: don't be dramatic. It's just a wedding. She'd urged me to keep the peace, not make a fuss. I walked outside, the sun setting beyond the rosemary and mint. The air was calming, but my mind raced with memories of supporting Lila through breakups and financial struggles. I knelt by the irrigation pipe, tugging a stubborn weed, reflecting on how I'd always shown up even when no one else would. My phone buzzed again, but I didn't check it. It was probably mom or another passive-aggressive text from Lila. I stayed outside for an hour, knees in the dirt, head replaying every moment of betrayal. When I finally went back inside, I picked up my phone and saw Lila's Instagram post thanking Cashin's family for sponsoring the wedding, with no mention of my contributions. The post highlighted the glamorous aspects, further emphasizing my exclusion. I stared at the screen, heart calcifying, and whispered, she really erased me. Against my better judgment, I called mom. She answered, voice chipper, hey, sweetheart, everything okay? I asked, why didn't Leela mention me in her post? Mom paused, then dismissed it. Oh, honey, don't worry about that. It's just fluff. Don't take it so seriously. I closed my eyes, frustration building. Mom, I helped pay for the wedding. She sighed. We're all grateful, Emma. Don't take things so personally. I hung up without saying goodbye, the silence in the kitchen feeling heavy and hollow. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, my mind unraveling every moment. Every choice I'd say, yes, I'd to keep the peace. A few mornings later, as I poured coffee, a memory hit me, mom promising I'd be Lila's maid of honor. That conversation was never brought up again. Weeks passed, and suddenly, Lila's childhood best friend took center stage. Then Cassin's cousin, and finally, his sister Eloise, was revealed as the maid of honor. I didn't even get a text. Later that evening, I was pulling weeds when my phone buzzed with a message from Odessa, my cousin. She had accidentally sent me a screenshot from the bridal planning thread. Lila's message read, my sister is sweet, but totally off-brand. Can we just keep it tight? Cashin doesn't even want her there. Below, mom replied, let's keep it small. No need to explain everything to her. I froze, the words sitting on the screen like wet cement. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a plan, one I wasn't supposed to see. I stared at the screenshot, then saved it in a folder renamed Truth. There was no more pretending. I wasn't the overreacting sister. I was the invisible one, erased by design. I sat on the back steps, phone in my lap, pulse steady but rigid. I whispered to no one, I think I'm done. Not out of rage or heartbreak, but out of clarity. They didn't want me there, not the real me. They wanted the illusion of family, not the roots. I deleted Odessa's message, not needing more proof. The truth had already landed. Later, as I walked out to the edge of my property, the sky was pink and gold. The calm I felt wasn't forgiveness, it was preparation. Something had shifted, and I knew I couldn't walk this back. They thought I'd take it quietly, but I had other plans. Mom called persistently, and eventually, I answered. She tried to manage me, urging me to be the bigger person and keep things graceful. But I was done pretending everything was fine while being erased. I set my tea down, voice steady. If you want me to pretend everything's fine while you erase me, I'm not that girl anymore. She blinked on the other end, and I could feel it. Aylin, don't start this again. You always do this. I cut in, calm and sharp. What I always do is keep quiet while everyone else gets to hurt me, as long as they do it politely. She didn't respond, and that silence told me more than any apology ever could. That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through Instagram, seeing that Leela had blocked me. Every tag, every wedding update, every curated smile and champagne clink was still happening, just without me. It was official. I wasn't just out. I was scrubbed. I sat in that quiet, chest heavy and hollow. No more illusions, no more wondering if I was imagining things. They made their choice. The days following the revelation were a blur, filled with a mix of disbelief and a growing sense of resolve. I found myself constantly drawn to my phone, scrolling through social media, witnessing the spectacle of Layla's wedding preparations unfold without me. Each post, each perfectly curated image was a reminder of my exclusion, and it stung deeply. One evening, as I stood barefoot in the kitchen, eating leftover peach pie straight from the tin, I stumbled upon the bridal shower highlights on Instagram. The caption read, "Thank you, Cashin's amazing family, for sponsoring our dream wedding." The photo showed Leela radiant and smiling, surrounded by champagne glasses and white hydrangeas. Every tag led back to Cassian's family, his mother's floral boutique, his sister's event company, his father's country club. There was no mention of me, no acknowledgement of the financial and emotional support I had provided. I stared at the post, my thumb cramping from refreshing the page, hoping to find some hidden mention of my contributions. But there was nothing. The comments praised Cashin's family, calling them goals and predicting the wedding of the year. My heart didn't sink, it hardened. $40,000, that's how much I had given them, quietly and without fanfare. I had wired deposits for the venue, the caterer, and even helped cover the early shipments on Leela's custom gown. I had stepped in when she was overwhelmed because that's what sisters do. But now I was a ghost, erased from the narrative. I set the phone down, the hum of the refrigerator filling the silence. My mind raced with memories of late night phone calls with Lila, comforting her through breakups and driving 6 hours with a rent check and a casserole when she couldn't pay rent. None of that mattered now. It didn't fit the picture perfect narrative she was curating. I picked up the phone again, the post still glowing on the screen, a testament to my exclusion. I whispered, "She really erased me." There's a kind of betrayal that doesn't come with shouting or slammed doors. It's quieter, more intentional, and somehow it hurts worse. In that moment, I decided I couldn't let this slide. I opened my banking app and saw the final installment scheduled for the florist. My finger hovered over the cancel payment button. I didn't press it, not yet, but the thought of reclaiming my financial support brought a sense of empowerment. I began to see the situation clearly. This wasn't just about a missed invitation or a wedding. It was about being erased, about being written out of the story while still being expected to foot the bill. A few mornings later, as I poured coffee into my chipped white mug, a memory surfaced. It was from one of the early wedding planning calls when things still felt soft and safe. Mom had chimed in through speakerphone. "Emma, of course, you'll be the maid of honor. You've always been the one holding us together." I had laughed, unsure if I deserved the credit, but I believed her. I believed that despite our differences, I had a place in all of this. But that conversation was never brought up again. Weeks passed, and suddenly, Lila's childhood best friend took center stage, then Cashin's cousin, and finally, during one of Leela's many Instagram announcements, Cashin's sister, Louise, was revealed as the maid of honor. I didn't even get a text. I should have asked for an explanation, but I didn't want to seem needy. So I waited, hoping they would clarify. They never did. Then, like a cruel twist of fate, Odessa, my cousin and Lila's friend from college, sent me a screenshot from their bridal planning thread. The message from Lila read, "My sister is sweet but totally off-brand. Can we just keep it tight? Cashin doesn't even want her there. Off-brand, like I was a poorly designed flyer or an unwanted scent in a fancy candle store." "Below," Mom replied, "let's keep it small. No need to explain everything to her." I froze, the words on the screen hitting me like a physical blow. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a calculated plan to exclude me. I saved the screenshot in a folder named Truth. There was no more pretending, no more giving them the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't the overreacting sister. I was the invisible one, erased by design. I sat on the back steps, the phone resting in my lap like a confession. My pulse was steady, but something inside me had shifted. It was the kind of stillness that comes before a storm, a calm before the inevitable confrontation. I whispered to myself, "I think I'm done," not out of anger or heartbreak, but out of a newfound clarity. They didn't want the real me. They wanted the illusion of family, the perfect image. I deleted Odessa's message, not out of forgiveness, but because I didn't need more proof. The truth had already landed, and it was time to act on it. Later that evening, I walked out to the edge of my property, the sky painted in hues of pink and gold. The calm I felt wasn't forgiveness, it was preparation. Something had shifted within me, and I knew I couldn't go back to the way things were. They thought I would take this quietly, but I had other plans. Mom called persistently, and eventually, I answered. She tried to manage the situation, urging me to be the bigger person and keep things graceful. But I was done pretending everything was fine while being erased. If you want me to pretend everything's fine while you erase me, I'm not that girl anymore, I said, my voice steady and resolute. Mom blinked on the other end, taken aback by my newfound determination. Aylin, don't start this again. You always do this, she replied, trying to dismiss my feelings, but I cut her off, my voice calm and sharp. What I always do is keep quiet while everyone else gets to hurt me, as long as they do it politely. She fell silent, and that silence spoke volumes. It told me that she understood the gravity of the situation, even if she wasn't willing to admit it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through Instagram again, discovering that Leila had blocked me. Every tag, every wedding update, every curated smile and champagne clink was still happening, just without me. It was official. I wasn't just out, I was scrubbed from the narrative. I sat in the quiet, my chest heavy and hollow. There were no more illusions, no more wondering if I was imagining things. They had made their choice, and now it was time for me to make mine. The days following my realization were filled with a strange mix of calm and anticipation. I had made my decision, and there was no turning back. I stopped checking social media, no longer needing the constant reminders of my exclusion. Instead, I focused on what I could control, and that started with reclaiming my financial independence. I opened my banking app and began the process of canceling the remaining payments for Lila's wedding. Each click of the mouse felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I wasn't doing this out of spite, but out of a necessity to protect myself. I had given so much, not just financially, but emotionally and physically. It was time to prioritize my own well-being. As I hit the final cancel button, a sense of liberation washed over me. I had taken the first step in reclaiming my power, and it felt exhilarating. I knew there would be consequences, but I was prepared to face them. I had sent a clear message. I would no longer be a silent supporter in a narrative that didn't include me. With the financial ties severed, I turned my attention to the emotional ones. I drafted an email to Lila and Mom, informing them of my decision to withdraw my support. I kept it concise and to the point, avoiding any emotional pleas or accusations. I simply stated the facts and ended with a request for space. I hit send and closed my laptop, feeling a sense of finality. The response was swift. My phone buzzed with notifications, but I didn't rush to check them. I knew it would be a mix of anger, confusion, and perhaps even guilt, but I wasn't ready to engage yet. I needed time to process and heal. Days turned into a week, and the silence from Lila and Mom was deafening. I knew they were scrambling to pick up the pieces, but I couldn't let that be my concern anymore. I had done my part, and now it was time for them to face the consequences of their actions. One evening, as I sat on my porch sipping a glass of wine, my phone buzzed with a message from Odessa. She had been keeping me updated on the fallout, and her latest message was a voice memo filled with urgency. I pressed play, and her voice filled the air, tense and hurried. Aylin, you won't believe what just happened, she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. Cashin walked out. He left the wedding during the reception. There was a huge argument, and he just stormed out. The DJ stopped playing, and everyone was whispering. Your mom tried to keep the program going, but it was a mess. Uncle Pete started yelling at her, and Grandma was crying. It's all falling apart. I listened stunned. I had expected chaos, but this was beyond anything I could have imagined. The perfect facade they had worked so hard to maintain was crumbling, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. They had tried so hard to erase me, to paint me as the problem, but now their true colors were showing. I set my phone down, a small smile playing on my lips. I wasn't gloating, but I was satisfied. I had made my choice, and now I was watching the dominoes fall. I had been the scapegoat, the easy target, but now they were forced to confront the reality of their actions. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the horizon, I felt a sense of peace. I had weathered the storm and come out stronger. I had taken a stand for myself, and in doing so had found a new sense of purpose. I was no longer the silent supporter, the invisible sister. I was a force to be reckoned with, and they knew it. I picked up my phone and opened my travel app. It was time for a change of scenery, a chance to heal and reflect. I booked a trip to Puerto Rico, choosing an ocean view suite at an adults-only resort. I needed a break from the drama, a chance to recharge and reconnect with myself. As I finalized my plans, I felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. This was more than just a vacation. It was a new beginning. I was choosing myself, and it felt liberating. I was ready to leave behind the chaos and embrace a future filled with possibilities. The air inside the airport was still and chilled, a stark contrast to the warmth I felt within. I moved through the terminal with a sense of purpose, my small suitcase in tow. I had packed light, leaving behind the reminders of the past and embracing the uncertainty of the future. As I settled into my seat in the lounge, I ordered a mimosa and let the bubbles dance on my tongue. I was ready for this new adventure, ready to leave behind the pain and embrace the possibilities that lay ahead. I had made my choice and I was at peace with it. Just before boarding, I received another message from Odessa. I opened it, curious to see what new drama had unfolded, but this time it was different. It was a message of support and encouragement, a reminder that I wasn't alone in my journey. "You're doing the right thing," Aylin, she wrote. "They're finally seeing the consequences of their actions. Grandma tried to speak up for you and they shut her down too. You deserve better than this. Go and find your peace." I smiled, grateful for her unwavering support. I snapped a photo of my mimosa, the condensation glistening in the light, and posted it to my story with a caption that read, "If you want me invisible, I'll make it easy." I turned my phone to airplane mode, ready to disconnect from the chaos and embrace the tranquility that awaited me. As the plane took off, I looked out the window, watching as the city grew smaller beneath me. I whispered to myself, "Let them go." And with each passing mile, I felt the weight of the past lifting from my shoulders. I was ready to embrace the future, ready to find my peace. The warm Caribbean air enveloped me as I stepped out of the airport in Puerto Rico. The sun was bright, and the sky was a clear blue, a stark contrast to the emotional storm I had left behind. I felt a sense of liberation, a weight lifted from my shoulders as I made my way to the resort. The ocean view suite was more beautiful than I had imagined. The white sheets on the bed were crisp, and the balcony offered a breathtaking view of the sea. I could hear the gentle lapping of the waves against the shore, a soothing sound that promised tranquility and healing. I took a deep breath, inhaling the salty air, and felt a sense of peace wash over me. The first few days were a blur of relaxation and self-reflection. I spent my mornings sipping coffee on the balcony, watching the sunrise paint the sky with hues of pink and gold. The afternoons were filled with leisurely walks on the beach, the warm sand between my toes, and the evenings were spent enjoying delicious meals under the starlit sky. I disconnected from the chaos of the past and allowed myself to simply be, to exist in the moment without the weight of expectations or obligations. As the days turned into a week, I found myself thinking less about the wedding and the drama that had unfolded. Instead, I focused on my own journey, on healing and growth. I reflected on the lessons I had learned, the strength I had found within myself, and the boundaries I had set. I realized that I had spent so much of my life trying to fit into a mold that others had created for me, trying to be the person they wanted me to be. But in doing so, I had lost sight of who I truly was. One evening, as I sat on the beach watching the sun dip below the horizon, I received a message from Odessa. She had sent me a photo of a handwritten letter from Grandma Agatha. The letter was filled with words of wisdom and support, a reminder that I was not alone in my journey. Grandma Agatha had always seen me for who I was, and her words were a balm to my soul. "Aylin, you were right to walk away," she wrote. "They will learn in your silence what they ignored in your words. But forgiveness is not for them, it is for you, so your soul can rest and keep growing. I see you, I always have. Love, Grandma Agatha." I read the letter multiple times, each time feeling a wave of emotion wash over me. Tears streamed down my face, not out of sadness, but out of gratitude and love. Grandma Agatha's words were a validation of my journey, a reminder that I was worthy of love and respect, and that I deserved to prioritize my own well-being. In that moment, I made a promise to myself. I promised to always honor my truth, to set boundaries, and to prioritize my own needs. I promised to never again allow myself to be silenced or erased, to never again diminish my own worth for the sake of others. I promised to embrace my journey, to learn from my experiences, and to grow into the person I was meant to be. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the beach, I felt a sense of clarity and purpose. I was no longer the invisible sister, the silent supporter. I was a woman on a journey of self-discovery and growth, and I was determined to embrace every moment of it. The following days were filled with new experiences and connections. I joined a group of fellow travelers for a bonfire on the beach, engaging in meaningful conversations about life, love, and self-discovery. We shared stories, laughed, and supported each other, reminding me of the importance of authentic connections and the power of community. As I sat by the fire, the flames casting a warm glow on my face, I reflected on my journey. I had come so far from the heartache and betrayal to the healing and growth. I had found my voice, my strength, and my purpose. I was no longer defined by the expectations of others or the roles they had assigned me. I was defined by my own choices, my own experiences, and my own journey. On my last night in Puerto Rico, I stood on the balcony, looking out at the vast ocean. The moon cast a shimmering path on the water, a beacon of hope and possibility. I took a deep breath, inhaling the salty air, and felt a sense of gratitude and contentment. I had found my peace, my strength, and my purpose. I was ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold, with an open heart and a steadfast spirit. As I packed my bags and prepared to return home, I carried with me the lessons I had learned, the strength I had found, and the promises I had made. I was no longer the same person who had arrived in Puerto Rico, heartbroken and lost. I was a woman reborn, a phoenix risen from the ashes, ready to embrace the future with courage, grace, and unwavering determination. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and a soul at peace, I stepped onto the plane, ready to return home and embrace the next chapter of my journey. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it head on with the knowledge that I was worthy, that I was strong, and that I was enough, just as I was.